Hello and welcome tonight. Arabia to participate in the Joint Arab-Islamic Summit, which will begin tomorrow, Monday, November the 11th, 2024. President Bola Tinubu, who arrived the country this morning through the King Abdulaziz International Airport, was welcomed by Riyadh's Deputy Governor, Prince Mohammed Abdul Rahman. This year's summit, hosted at the invitation of King Salman and Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, follows last year's gathering in Riyadh and will address urgent issues facing the Middle East, including the ongoing Israel-Palestinian conflict. Nigeria's #1 citizen is expected to speak on the crisis, reiterating Nigeria's stance for an immediate ceasefire and the urgent need for a peaceful resolution. He is also expected to use the opportunity to push for renewed international efforts to revive the two-state solution as a viable path to lasting peace. Now, the president will be joined by a high-level delegation, including Foreign Affairs Minister Ambassador Yusuf Tugar, National Security Advisor Malam Nuhu Ribadu, Minister of Information Mohammed Idris, and the Director General of the National Intelligence Agency NIA, Ambassador Mohammed Mohammed. Staying with the president's trip to Saudi Arabia for the Joint Arab-Islamic Summit, the Minister of Information Mohammed Idris explains that Nigeria's status as the largest black nation on earth, as well as a relationship with various nations and blocs, including the Middle East, makes it imperative for President Bola Tinubu to attend the conference.
In Israel and in Palestine, we have seen the kind of loss of lives and destruction of property that everyone around the globe is talking about. And so when this summit was muted and Nigeria was invited, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, consistent with his thinking about being very humane. He is a very, very humane leader. He looks at the issue of humanity very seriously. Whatever the reasons are, he thinks that both countries need to de-escalate. They must come back to the negotiating table so that at least for the, let's have some peaceful resolution. Whatever is the case, this conflict can never end on the war front. We must come to find a diplomatic solution, and this is exactly what we are seeking here. And so Nigeria is seizing the moment again to participate, to lend its voice as a very important player on the global stage to ensure that all countries of the world have a peaceful resolution to this matter. Nigeria is very consistent on that. It supports a two-state solution. That unless you do that, look at the way the conflict is already going, spilling over the borders of both Israel and Palestine. It's going to Lebanon, and we are also seeing that Iran is also being gradually, brought into the conflict. So unless this solution is found, and unless there is a diplomatic solution to it, this may engulf the entire region, and in effect, it will also engulf the entire world. Nigeria is a very important country, like I said earlier. Unless there is peace in the Middle East, there is no way Nigeria will not have also issues to contend with. Already, we are seeing movement of people around the region. Nigeria, because of its proximity, is likely to begin to draw some of the people who are escaping this conflict from. And we also have our own share of issues here. So we want all these states to live in peace, to live in harmony within secured borders, so that the world can be at peace.
Back home and talking security now, the 17th Brigade Commander of the Nigerian Army, Katsina State, Brigadier General Babatunde Omokbariola, is asking bandits and other violent extremists to surrender or face kinetic action. Brigadier General Omokbariola, who made this call when he handed over 9 rescued victims of kidnapping to officials of the Katsina State government at a brief ceremony held at the 17th Brigade headquarters in Katsina, says the doors of the army remain open for bandits and extremists who are prepared to surrender. General Omokbariola, represented by the brigade's Chief of Staff, Colonel Yakubu Wandikas explained that the victims were freed in a recent non-kinetic operation carried out by the troops.
This is another set of victims of kidnapping, abducted from different local government areas of Katsina State. The victims, comprising 5 men and 2 nursing mothers, along with their 2 babies, were said to have been taken from Yankin Kidandan Forest in neighboring Kaduna. Although the victims appear happy to regain their freedom, one of them narrates his ordeal at the hands of the bandits.
I went to my farm, located at the southern part of Sabua LGA, 5 kilometers away between the farm and the Sabua local government. While walking on the farm, I suddenly saw 7 gunmen riding on 5 motorcycles. They kidnapped me and took me to a forest in Kaduna State, popularly known as Yankin Kidandan Forest.
For the Nigerian Army, options are on the table for bandits and other violent extremists willing to surrender.
We have in our midst some of the rescue victims. So sad, you could see that we have some nursing mothers among them, which is disheartening, with babies with them. I also want to use this opportunity to seek and request of everyone involved in these activities that the gesture shown by the Nigerian Army by using the non-kinetic operation to rescue these victims, so that the door is still open for these violent extremists to turn a good leaf.
On his part, the senior special assistant to the governor of Katsina State on victims of banditry and IDPs commends the army and other security agencies for the rescue mission.
A team of yours, together with other security agents, in collaboration with all other agencies, security agencies, rescued. On the 7th, rescued 11 victims, 11 captives. In Basari, they are there. And on the 8th, you have rescued 19 victims. They are there in the hospital. Though we have discharged them, only women still in admission in the general hospital of Basari. So that is part of the successes that you have been recording.
Although the victims spent 3 months in captivity, a total of 30 persons have since been rescued within the week in Basari local government area by a combined team of troops and other security agencies.
Staying on the thorny issue of insurgency, and the Nigerian Air Force says that it has initiated a series of intense independent air interdiction missions to support the Nigerian Armed Forces of Nigeria's renewed drive to eliminate all forms of criminality in the northwestern region. A statement issued by the Director, Public Relations and Information Headquarters, Nigerian Air Force, Air Commodore Olushola Akinboyewa, says that this focused campaign of air interdiction, nicknamed Operation Farauta Mujia, was kick-started with a series of high-impact night operations deep within the strongholds of notorious bandits across Zamfara and Kebbi states. Air Commodore Akinboyewa says the Nigerian Air Force executed a surprise aerial assault on multiple camps, including the strategic Sangeko location in Zamfara near the Kebbi border and Ado Alero's heavily fortified enclave around Asola Hill in Safe local government area. He adds that the strikes not only obliterated a major arms depot belonging to the infamous bandit leader, Ado Alero, but also neutralized many of his fighters. The statement adds that several kidnapped victims previously held captive by the bandits were able to escape amidst the chaos, making their way to safety in Kebbi State. Still talking security, the Commander 1 Brigade of the Nigerian Army in Guzo, Brigadier General Timothy Oporum, has underscored the invaluable role civil-military relations play in enhancing the operational effectiveness of security agencies in safeguarding national interest, in addition to ensuring that the military functions within the framework of democratic governance. The brigade commander stated this during the opening of a 2-day workshop for Army personnel and other relevant stakeholders organized by Clean Foundation in Guzo, Zamfara State.
The northwest region of Nigeria has been grappling with an escalating wave of banditry, characterized by violent attacks, kidnapping for ransom, and the destruction of rural communities, leading to widespread displacement, loss of lives, and disruption of economic activities. The Nigerian Army is, however, taking necessary steps to ensure it secures the full backing and trust of the citizens in the fight against banditry.
Zamfara State, which has faced various security challenges, requires a concerted effort from all stakeholders to build trust and collaboration. This workshop serves as a vital platform to align our collective efforts and address the multifaceted dimensions of civil-military interactions.
Articulating a roadmap for civil-military intervention to create peace structures that will address the security challenges and restore stability in the Northwest is the essence of this workshop.
The idea here is, at the end of the day, we design the roadmap, and the roadmap that will help us to be able to articulate the best way to develop trust, build citizens' confidence in the state actors, and that for us is very fundamental. And for us at Clean Foundation, our work basically has always been to work from the side of the state to ensure that we help citizens to understand the culture and the doctrine of the state actors.
The need for collaboration and synergy among security agencies, traditional institutions, and the local communities dominates discussion.
Infrastructural development, roads, bridges, and energy supply. Definitely, even now, I believe, if you go to a lot of places, there is no light. Trade promotion, Gusau International Trade Fair, market and commerce. If this can be enhanced, why not? Definitely the issue of unemployment will be a thing of the past.
As the two-day workshop ends, participants are united in their belief that winning the war against banditry in the Northwest requires more than just military might.
In the meantime, the Arewa Consultative Forum is asking for urgent action by the Nigerian military to subjugate and decapitate the Lakurawa terror gangs that is terrorizing residents of Sokoto and Kebbi State in the Northwest Zone, with all the human and material arsenals at their disposal without hesitation. The ACF says it considers the emergence of the new terrorist group as very dangerous and alarming, as it indicates an escalation in a very devastating state of insecurity in the Northwest that has become Nigeria's epicenter of terrorism. In a statement by its National Publicity Secretary, Professor Tukur Mohammed Baba, the forum noted that the emergence of the Lakurawa terror gang in the Northwest Zone raises serious concerns and it further grave challenge to Nigeria's national security interests. Talking health now, the Coordinating Minister of Health and Social Welfare, Professor Ali Pate, is appealing to Nigerians to join in the efforts towards an improved healthcare system. In an exclusive interview with Newsnight and Channels Television, Professor Ali Pate revealed that a portal, phc.nphcda.gov.ng, has been created to take ownership of infrastructure, monitor development and management of these facilities from the comfort of their homes. According to him, everyone can play a major role in achieving the vision of effective healthcare delivery.
Part of this effort to revive the primary health care, it has to be backed by evidence. So there's a portal which the National Primary Healthcare Development Agency has developed and is populating with credible data where you can click and see the PHCs in your state, in your local government. You'll see their pictures, the officer in charge. It's https://phc.nphcda.gov.ng. I think if you look at that portal, it is being populated. It is not 100% complete, but at least we're beginning to compile that. And we're recruiting what we call PFMOs and the health fellows who will be useful in social accountability, who will be deployed in local governments, and they will help complement missing information. They can take the picture of the hospital and correct whatever information for those that are in their domain. Because producing healthier Nigeria is not something that only President Bola Ahmed Tinubu will do, or his ministers, or the civil service, the Federal Ministry of Health. It is something that we have to build consensus that health is important for us as a people. The president has set a vision, but we have to act. And so state governors have to also pay attention to the PHCs in their facility, the secondary facilities in their domain, the health workers that do. Local government that have their autonomy statement by the Supreme Court have to ask themselves, as chair of the local government, are my PHCs functional?
The full interview with Professor Ali Pate. Watch Newsnight on Monday, November the 11th by 9 p.m. on all channels, television platforms. In part 2, after the break, the movement for the survival of the Ogoni people, Mossup, calls for Shell's probe over alleged $173.8 billion unaccounted revenue. Please stay with us. Welcome back. If you've joined us, you're watching the news at 10 on Channels Television live from Lagos. A reminder of our top stories. President Bola Tinubu arrives in Riyadh, the Saudi Arabian capital, to participate in the joint Arab-Islamic summit. The Nigerian Army asks bandits and other violent extremists to surrender or face the music. And the movement for the survival of the Ogoni people, Mossup, calls for Shell's probe over the alleged $173.8 billion unaccounted revenue. Still talking health, the Nigerian Association of Medical Physicists is advocating the need for the passage of the Medical Physicists Bill in order to advance the treatment of cancer in Nigeria. Speaking in Abuja on the occasion of the 2024 International Day of Medical Physics, the president of the association, Professor Abdul Fatai Akintunde, says medical physicists in Nigeria are working in a wide array of fields from radiotherapy to medical imaging, radiation protection, and dosimetry, but lack effective regulation. Professor Akintunde explains that the regulatory bill will enable the association get good and qualified medical physicists in the country to see to the safety of the radiation delivery to patients, both diagnostic, radiotherapy, and nuclear medicine. In the Niger Delta, the movement for the survival of the Ogoni people, Mossup, is asking the federal government to investigate Shell Petroleum Development Company, SPDC, over an estimated $173.8 billion allegedly concealed during its operations in Ogoni between 1958 and 1993. Mossup President Fegalo Nsuke, in a statement issued today to mark the 29th memorial of the executions ordered by the Sani Abacha regime, alleges that while Shell reported a daily production of 28,000 barrels, Ogoni Fields had a production capacity of at least 350,000 barrels. Mr. Nsuke is asking for a probe into what he describes as economic sabotage, citing an unreported daily output of 322,000 barrels, which at $50 per barrel would amount to $173.8 billion in lost revenue. The Mossup president insists that Shell drilled over 200 oil wells in Ogoni with high porosity and permeability, and yet reported an average of 140 barrels per well. To mourn the passing of the late Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Taoreed Lagbaja, President Bola Tinubu directed that Nigeria's national flags be flown at half-mast for 7 days across the country. Tonight, we reflect on his leadership and the future for the Nigerian Army. Babajide Ogusowo, founder of Leadership by Data and Channels Television's data analyst, is here to share more insight on this. Babajide, it's great to have you again on the News at 10.
Good evening, Ayatunde.
Now, indeed, this is a tragedy for Nigeria, or of course, or maybe described as a great tragedy, not just for the family of the late Chief of Army Staff, but is there any easy way to say it, to put it from when we got this news?
I would like to put it the way my grandfather used to tell me, and he would sit me down and say, Jide, don't judge your day by the harvest you reap, but by the seeds you plant. And for Lieutenant Taoreed Lagbaja, why we've seen this situation today is because he's planted a lot of seeds. If you speak to his family, his friends, soldiers, officers, the summation is he did plant a lot of seeds in the lives of people. So tonight I'd like us to take a look at some of the popular words and I especially like how the Chief of Defense Staff has put it. That is Lieutenant General Taoreed Lagbaja's remembrance will be as lasting as the land he honored. Perhaps in simple terms, his memories and his remembrance will be here forever.
So let's look at the highlights of Lieutenant General Taoreed Lagbaja's military career. As a military officer, what were the highlights of his career, really?
There are several ways to look at this. One interesting way that I've been studying is, when he joined the National Nigerian Defense Academy, that was 36 years ago. And the question we should now look at is, a foundation was set for him. The then Chief of Army Staff in 1987 was Sani Abacha. And so, yes, there was an environment that had been laid. The military was attractive. So the question now we should ask is, yes, we have a new acting...
And of course, we were in the military regime at the time.
No, we were not even in the military regime at that time. So yes, we were. Yes, we were. 1987, yes, it was. But however, Abacha was not the president. It was General
Ibrahim Babangida.
Exactly. So we had General Abacha as the Chief of Army Staff. But the environment, the Army still had that environment that attracted a lot of young soldiers. So the question we have to ask ourselves now is, yes, we have a new acting Chief of Army Staff. We still have a similar system. Yes, the military system and the army system is not perfect, but is one of the few systems we have in Nigeria that works. So the question is, today, we are creating an environment that in another 36 years, some of the soldiers that are coming in today will become Chief of Army Staff, just like the way Taoreed Lagbaja became the Chief of Army Staff, though he came in 36 years. So it's really a journey. But beyond this journey, we need to look at what are these things that make his name and his brand be on the lips of a lot of Nigerians. And if we take a look at, which I've spoken to a lot of senior officers, junior officers, what are the things that were behind Lagbaja's heroics? 7 things come out first. Number 1 is love for his family and his love for Nigeria. That comes out first. Second is Lieutenant Taoreed Lagbaja had a lot of integrity that he earned from the trust of his men. Integrity, a big factor why we keep hearing the name Lagbaja. Number 3 out of 7, hard and smart work. He was diligent across all his field operations. Major diligence shown in his operations and his positions in the north and south. Number 4, he was highly strategic in his thinking. In most times, they said he was biased towards action. He always wanted action. So Lieutenant Taoreed Lagbaja had a strong bias towards action, and that made him proactive. Number 5, he showed extreme courage that hadn't been seen in decades. That was one of the things that made him a hero. Number 6, he had built great relationships, not just with the soldiers, junior and senior officers, his bosses, and yes, especially with the president, the Grand Commander of the Federal Republic. And finally, what made him also successful as the Chief of Army Staff, he made sure that he aligned with the philosophy of the Chief of Defense Staff, General Christopher Mossup. Put all these 7 things together is what made Lieutenant Taoreed Lagbaja the hero that we talk about today.
Interesting, of course. But what next for the Nigerian Army going forward? I mean, now that we have a new, an acting Chief of Army Staff, I mean, what should Nigerians expect from this new setting going forward?
For me, there are 3 things. The first is there are still lots of conspiracies surrounding the death of the late Chief of Army Staff, which I think the acting Chief of Army Staff needs to clear, because with conspiracies comes low motivation and morale for his men. So the first is he needs to really clear the conspiracies, and there are really lots of conspiracies. The second is he needs to now create a path for himself. He needs to have his legacy. His legacy clearly has to be aligned with the vision of the armed forces of Nigeria, but the acting Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Olufemi Oluyede, needs to have his legacy and create a path. The third and final, and perhaps the most important thing is he needs to also understand that, yes, Richie clearly knows that the office of the Chief of Army Staff is powerful. Any office that has power, clearly we know, will have politics. And any office that has politics comes danger. So, power, politics, and danger. But beyond this, we need to look at where were we when the Chief of Army Staff, the late Chief of Army Staff came in last year, June. Where are we now? And clearly, what are the things that need to be done? Again, don't forget power, politics, and danger. And if we take a look at what comes next, which is where were we? If you take a look at that, where were we June last year? Where are we now? And what lies ahead? This is interesting. June last year, when the service chiefs were appointed, security sentiment across the citizens, among citizens, 41%. That is still the same as October this year in terms of when citizens were asked, is security improving? Last year was 41%. Now it's still 41%. Still the same. Why is that? What's the politics involved in that? Remember during the election last year, President Tinubu had 2.6 million voters that voted for him. That was the largest voting bloc for him across the country. So our eyes are on what will be the security situation going forward in the Northwest. Southwest, we've seen improvements in security compared to last year. North Central improvements. We still have challenges in the Northeast, where it was 57% last year. Citizens living there say that is really not improving as much as they had hoped for. South, we've seen improvements. Southeast, we've seen improvements. So across 6 regions, one region still stays the same with regards to security from perception of citizens. That's the Northwest. We've seen improvements across 4 regions, and we see the desperate need for much more improvements across the Northeast. So going forward, what we'll expect is we'll see more efforts towards the Northwest and the Northeast while making sure things do not deteriorate across those other 4 regions that are currently in the green. Don't forget there are the political implications to it, looking at the numbers that the president scored in 2023, and also knowing that in another 6 months, INEC will be releasing the calendar for the 2027 general elections.
Indeed, interesting times, and we'll definitely be keeping tabs on the situation as it continues to develop. Well, of course, our hearts and thoughts to the family of the late Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Tarid Lagbaja. Babajide, thank you so much for your analysis.
The pleasure is all mine, and the expectations will be that the acting Chief of Army Staff, just like the previous ones are done, will plant new seeds that will lead to make sure that in the future, those that are coming in now will also have that sort of environment that they had when they came in 1987. Because for a lot of soldiers, their own 1987 is today.
We'll leave it at that. Thank you so much once again.
The pleasure is all mine.
Still ahead on the news at 10, the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency dismantles 2 major cross-border drug trafficking syndicates, seizing cocaine and opioids worth billions of naira. Please join us again. Welcome back. River State Governor Siminalayi Fubara says the political crisis in the state is divinely orchestrated to allow God perfect his purpose in granting the state political freedom and economic growth. The governor was speaking at a Thanksgiving service to celebrate the appointment of His Royal Majesty Eze Chikewolu Wodo as the chairman of the River State Traditional Rulers Council. The service was held at the Shepherd's Hill Parish of the Redeemed Christian Church of God at Mgwoba Community in Obiakpo local government area, where Governor Fubara was also presented with copies of the Bible by the leadership of the parish.
There is nothing as important like thanking God. Even when the situation looks unclear, thanksgiving brings assurance and a clearer picture of situation. And I joined this family this morning to thank God with you and to assure our people that because God is what we have kept in front and first, it will end in praises. I also believe that what people are calling trouble is God's purpose for a new direction in our state. He has taken us right from the first day. Rather than get weak, we're getting stronger and bolder every day. And the secret is just one thing: your prayers.
A total of 29 internally displaced and indigent persons under the care of the Home for the Needy Foundation IDP camp in Edo State have recently graduated with first degrees from different tertiary institutions in Nigeria. 5 out of the number who graduated as medical doctors from the Edo State University say they are eager to give back to society in the nearest future as a mark of the gratitude they owe everyone who supported the foundation in giving them a chance at pursuing purposeful lives. In this special report, Jessica Olubose takes a look at the feat of the 5 medical graduates.
But for life-changing traumatic events, the Home for the Needy Foundation, nestled in Uogwa community on the outskirts of Benin City, the Edo State capital, would have remained largely unknown to the thousands of its inhabitants, IDPs and other indigent persons who have for years now found in it rest, an abode, transformation and growth. Favor Ogenetoja, who shares this female hall of residence with scores of other girls in the camp, is the 4th of 6 children whose father died when she was 9, leaving her widowed mother to fend for all the children. From her preteen years, this has been Favor's only home. She's just earned the MBBS degree.
When I got admission to study medicine, they sponsored my education all through. They've been providing everything that I needed, and I'm very grateful to them. I want to say God will bless them for everything they've done for me.
Danjuma Yahaya, an IDP from Goza local government area in Borno State, explains that the dream to pursue a career in medicine only came when he succeeded in escaping the horrors of the Boko Haram attacks on his community over a decade ago.
The aim was to just come and find peace, solace, and also to be happy and also have hope again for the future. Then we met our coordinator, who started inspiring us, bringing people from different professions to come and talk and give us career talk. So hope started coming alive.
Marcus Ali, another fresh graduate of medicine and surgery, remembers his time living on the streets of Abuja after the Boko Haram invasion on his home in Borno State.
I trekked for about 1 week or so, more than just trekking without food, and finally I found myself on the street of Abuja, where I was hawking sachet water, pure water, sleeping by the roadside, sometimes in the garage, under the bridge.
For this young man who just earned a degree in pharmacy from Ahmadu Bello University Zaria, his loss came twice. First, when his 7 siblings and mother died, purportedly from the insurgents poisoning their water, and second, when his father abandoned him after marrying another wife years later.
They put poison in our water there, and then all the living things, all my family, my siblings, and 1 other family members died on the process. By then, I was fortunate enough, I followed my father to farm because he works on the farm.
The Edo Specialist Hospital in Benin City is the facility where the 5 MBBS graduates who attended the Edo University Uzari had their clinical training. It's a training that was eye-opening on many fronts and has left them determined to give back to society.
People who are in need, trying to make them try to do all I can to help them, okay, and educationally, especially children who are out of school, okay, need to have the ability now help them, and then trying to establish healthcare facilities in the village, in the community.
My inspiration to study medicine started when I was displaced and saw people dying. So I say, if I have the opportunity to go to school, I must study medicine and surgery.
Their determination to succeed was not lost on the authorities.
I want to really appreciate the foundation. The school did its part. Yes, we're always there for them. We're always trying to support them. Once we knew there was a foundation, whenever things were not going as it should, we tried to always support them. So they were like special candidates for us. But on their own, I think we should also give them their kudos because they were not found wanting at any time. They were always on top of their game. They were always on top of their studies. They were very fantastic students.
The foundation's coordinator believes resilience from all sides are yielding the desired result.
Most times you don't have food to give to the children. Children go to class, they have no writing materials. Teachers we even employed, we could not pay them. But these children were determined. That determination, that resilience always encouraged me.
Happy days are here, clearly, but the dreams of better days remain. Favor would love to pursue a career in cardiothoracic surgery. Marcus has a strong desire to be reunited with his siblings and aged father who are refugees in Cameroon, and then all the others who want to build health centers in their home communities, as well as get other IDPs off homelessness. Jessica Olugusere, Channels Television News.
Women are advocating for more participation by the female folk in public relations and technology. They made the call as the 2024 NECCI PR Roundtable was held in Lagos, which was graced by the Deputy Governor of Ogun State and other notable PR practitioners.
And commitment to public. This room is filled with women in PR tech who have excelled in their chosen fields of endeavor. This 2024 NECCI PR Roundtable, focusing on public relations and technology, creates an ambience for these professionals to chart better ways forward for the female folk. The convener, NECCI PR Roundtable Nkechi Ali Balogun, expressed optimism that this year's conference will provide the ambience for a robust discussion.
I'm confident that this roundtable will provide a platform for robust discussions and innovative ideas, and I encourage everyone present to actively engage, share your insights, and lend your voices to this important cause.
Managing Director, Microsoft Nigeria and Ghana, Olatomiwa Williams, encapsulates what this event is about with regards to getting more women involved in tech and PR.
We still need more effort to ensure that we empower our female funders with the right funding and opportunity.
Deputy Governor of Ogun State and chair of this year's roundtable, Noimot Salako Oyedele, speaks on challenges and opportunities for women and dismantling barriers.
We're here to foster an environment where women can thrive and where diverse voices are the norm, not the exception. As we do so, we should recognize that breaking these barriers isn't a task for women alone.
The roundtable brings to the fore individual and corporate approaches to achieving objectives.
I encourage all women to take their rightful place so that they can contribute to national development.
We've been able to encourage a lot of young women to going into science and engineering and tech space. So for me, it's very gratifying to watch these girls come to the stage.
The 2024 NECCI PR Roundtable brings to the front burner how best practitioners, especially women, can address challenges women face in tech and PR while highlighting their achievements and fostering gender diversity and inclusion.
Recently, the federal government said it had committed more than $75 million to the development of compressed natural gas infrastructure. The thinking, according to the special advisor to President Bola Tinubu, Mrs. Olu Verian, is aimed at promoting cleaner energy solutions across the nation. Despite this huge investment and policy direction, the adoption of CNG as a fuel of choice has slowly progressed. In this next report, our energy correspondent, Olu Phillips, examines the issues and spoke with some regulators over safety concerns.
As Nigeria joins the conversation around climate change, around energy transition, Nigeria has sought to tell the global community that it will, as a matter of choice and decision, transit into cleaner energy sources of use, using its abundance of gas resources. And one of such is the compressed natural gas, as I said, for fuel of choice. That initiative is fast becoming a trend or some sort moving into the direction of a revolution. But there are concerns. When President Bola Tinubu announced a policy direction in favor of alternative fuel source, in this case, compressed natural gas, CNG, as a fuel of choice, it appeared like a diversion from the harrowing experience of subsidy removal at the inaugural broadcast.
The first subsidy is gone.
Since then, how has things fared? So far, there's been 2 incidences that tend to dip the processes, one at Ogun State and the other in Benin City. Unfettered, however, the superintendents of this industry have these assurances.
As a regulator, we have very stringent processes for that. Within hours or minutes of any incident, there is a report of it. An interim preliminary investigation is done to find out what the causes are and those that are involved, the scope, what mitigation plan needs to be taken. In some instances, the facility may be sealed to allow for such extensive investigation. I have received the preliminary report for the incident you referred to, and again, the causes have been highlighted, but we are waiting the final report.
You can see it's extremely heavy, and even from observation, you can see this tank is quite different from most gas-bearing tanks you may have been familiar with. So this is bulletproof. It's burst-proof. You know, it's manufactured to very, very high precision. In fact, the burst pressure is 400 bar. CNG is safe. It's environmentally friendly, and it is also cheaper than the alternative white variants. If you go to the chemistry and science of LPG, CNG, PMS, and the rest, you will see that CNG is the least, combustible among all of them.
What is a CNG policy program direction without the practicals? So we made a stop right there at the nation's capital.
The sticker conversion can come with the following. 1, pressure regulator.
So pressure regulator, pressure gauge.
The pressure gauge gives you a physical reading of the pressure you have in the cylinder, and also has an electronic sensor embedded in it to transmit the level of gas to the driver to know what is having left in the cylinder. So with this, there's a sensor on it that transmits the pressure.
Just like fuel gauge.
Just like fuel gauge. The typical kit will also have the gas injector. Just like you have the petrol injector. If you look at this now, there are 4 injectors here, corresponding to the number of engine that you have. So that you have 4 plugs here. Now, a typical conversion kit will also have an electronic control unit. The ECU is able to simulate the electrical signals of the petrol system, all right? Takes that signal, copies it, and uses it to inject the right amount of CNG into it. You understand? So what happens is that for a given engine condition, the petrol required is about 2 mil. All right, the ECU interprets it, all right, and give the corresponding
intelligence system.
And
just like the gearing
system of this kit,
and give the corresponding amount of CNG at that particular engine condition.
They have finished the conversion. We have to do the safety review to be sure that what is to be there is where it's supposed to be, and the conversion kit used are of good quality, and all the component parts, everything was well fixed, and we are good to go. That is why it is very important to get every conversion center certified to be sure that we have the right tools there to carry out the conversion effectively.
Despite the mixed bag, there are some proud converts. Brilliant. Wow. Wow. How much CNG do you want to buy in terms of naira?
In terms of naira, I'm using 15 kg actually.
Yeah.
So if I thought the pressure is okay, I can get 15 kg. That is 3,500.
That's all.
Yes.
So if you buy now, how long will it take you?
150 kilometers.
Commercial or private use?
Commercial.
Wow. Oh, you're done.
Was study.
but with a meager 30,000 conversion done so far and 1 million targeted conversion, how ready is Nigeria to transit to low-emission sources of fuel? Olu Phillips, Channels Television News.
The National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, the NDLEA, says it has dismantled 2 major cross-border drug trafficking syndicates, seizing cocaine and opioids worth billions of naira and arresting 6 cartel leaders across various regions in Nigeria. The NDLEA spokesperson, Femi Babafemi, in a statement explains that the syndicates were tracked through months of intelligence gathering and surveillance. He disclosed that the syndicate, which includes members based in Mubi of Adamawa State, Onitsha, Anambra State and Lagos, as well as Cameroonian collaborators, is suspected of supplying drugs to terror groups in Nigeria and Cameroon. Among those arrested are Ibrahim Bawuro, Najib Ibrahim, Ibrahim Umar, Nelson Udechukwu Anayo, Eze Amechi Martin, and Adejumo Elijah Ishola. Mr. Babafemi notes that the network operated by sourcing drugs such as tramadol from supplies in Onitsha, concealing them in vehicles and transporting them to the north and Cameroon using modified compartments in vehicles. Bolt, a leading ride-hailing platform, has announced a significant commitment of £100 million or €100 million over the next 3 years to bolster safety measures on its platform. Now, this investment will support the Bolt safety team in its critical work of product development, customer support, safety feature awareness, and preventive measures to minimize safety incidents. Now, the announcement was made during the Global Safety Campaign launch event held in Lagos.
This event brought together key players from the Lagos State Ministry of Transportation, representatives from the Federal Road Safety Corps, vehicle inspection officers, safety experts, Bolt's representative, and members of the media. The Bolt's regional manager for North and West Africa set the ball rolling in her opening remarks, where she says safety remains a priority for the ride-hailing company.
It's a major priority area for us, which is why we've invested resources, huge resources, to be sure that safety remains a priority and we minimize incidents to as close to zero as much as possible.
In his keynote address, the Director, Lagos State Minister of Transport, Mr. Olasukomi, speaks on leveraging technology in the provision of efficient transport system for the citizens.
Through the Ministry of Transportation, the Lagos State government has partnered with all registered e-hailing companies, including Bolt, the organizer of today's event, to enhance public safety. The mission of Lagos State Transportation is to create Africa's model mega city, a global economic and financial hub that is safe, secure, functional, and productive.
Bolt says its safety team of over 500 specialists from across the world will focus on their efforts on product development, support, and scaling preventive measures.
For instance, if the ride is not stationary for a long period of time, somebody reaches out to you to find out if everything is going okay. And if something is wrong at that point, you have the opportunity to get help.
I commend Bolt Nigeria for prioritizing safety and for leading with integrity and care. Together, let us keep moving forward towards a future where every trip on our roads is a secure journey for every citizen.
For the management of Bolt Nigeria, the company will remain focused on delivering safety ways of commuting for riders.
Safety is not a today matter for us at Bolt. It's been at the very beginning of our efforts to be sure that riders and drivers complete rides successfully.
With the regulatory stakeholders, it's always an ongoing conversation. It's always something that we keep building and developing. But so far, it's been fantastic working with the government and building safety features with them.
Bolt, the global shared mobility platform providing ride-hailing and car rental services in over 600 cities across 50 countries, is optimistic that the launch of this new safety campaign will put it on a new pedestal to deliver better services.
Thank you.
Welcome to Sports News. Bayelsa United this evening handed coach Finidi George's Rivers United their second defeat of the season with a shocking 1-0 win at the Adoke Amiesemaka Stadium in Port Harcourt. It's Bayelsa United's third win of the season in 11 games, as Remo Stars maintain top spot, holding host to the People's Elephant Enyimba International to a goalless draw in Aba. Another shocking away win recorded earlier today was Katsina United losing at home to Ikorodu City at the Muhammadu Diko Stadium in Katsina. Heartland FC under coach Emmanuel Amuneke picked their fourth win of the season thanks to a 1-0 win against Sunshine. Okwara recorded their third away win of the day, while Niger Tornadoes and Shooting Stars finally ended the 10-game unbeaten run of El Kanemi Warriors. Nigeria's representative Edo Queen's dominant display saw them overcoming fellow debutants Commercial Bank of Ethiopia FC 3-0 in the Women's CAF Champions League played at the Larbi Zaoli Stadium in Casablanca. Now, brilliantly taken goals by Essien, Folashade Lajimolusi and Chukwamaka Osigwe were enough to secure a debut victory for the Wafubi champions against the Ethiopian side. Pedro Neto dealt a fresh blow to Arsenal's English Premier League title challenge as the Chelsea winger's superb strike rescued a 1-1 draw in the London derby. Now, Mikel Arteta's side had taken the lead through Gabriel Martinelli's second-half goal at Stamford Bridge. Ipswich held on for a 2-1 win at Tottenham to celebrate their first win of the season and their first in the English Premier League in 22 years. Man United signed off Ruud van Nistelrooy's temporary stint in charge with a 3-0 win over Leicester, as new manager Ruben Amorim will be in charge for the first time when United return from the international break. Third place Nottingham Forest's fine run came to an end in a 3-1 home defeat to Newcastle United. And outside our shores, Russia and Ukraine have carried out the biggest drone attacks against each other since the start of the war. Now, Russia's defense ministry also said it intercepted 70 Ukrainian drones over 6 regions, including some approaching Moscow, with forced flights to be diverted from 3 of the capital's major airports. Ukraine's Air Force said Russia launched 145 drones towards all parts of the country, with most shot down. Now, the barrage has come amid expectations that U.S. President-elect Donald Trump may put pressure on both sides to end the conflict. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu says he and the incoming U.S. President Donald Trump see eye to eye on the Iranian threat and the danger posed by it. Well, this was made known in a statement in which the Prime Minister says the pair have spoken 3 times in the last few days, calling them important conversations that were designed to build on the relationship between the 2 countries. Mr. Netanyahu also referred to the violent attacks on Israelis in Amsterdam, saying the supporters of a football club were attacked just because they were Jews. And the main news again. President Bola Tinubu has arrived in Riyadh, the Saudi Arabian capital, to participate in the joint Arab-Islamic summit. And the Nigerian Army has asked bandits and other violent extremists to surrender or face the music. That's the news at 10 tonight. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Ayo Tunde Balogun. You have a good night.